Greetings, everybody. Patrick here, 8 Questions With, and it's Tuesday. It's the first show of the week, and thank you for coming in and hanging out with us tonight. We have a very cool slate of shows for you this week. September has kicked into overdrive, that's for sure. Um, well, first off, I want to say thanks to everybody who showed up on Sunday night for the return of the Midnight Society. The Cat and the Nat reunited for the Clash of the Titans segment. Uh, Me and JT from JT's Horror Discussions. He and I talked about two classic movies, one from the 80s, one from the 90s, Fast Times at Ridgemont High and American Pie. Both great films with a lot of pedigree, a lot of sass, a lot of heart, a little bit of raunch, just a little bit. Um, but overall, two really excellent comedies, and or in some cases, comedy dramas. Um, because there's a few moments there. Hey, there's our favorite EA horror. Now, see, when I say Swamp Kitty, I'm saying it because I think it's a hell of a cute name for somebody. I wish I would have thought about that. I know what some people think about it but when I think of EUEI, I think of Swamp Kitty in the most respectful of terms. So, welcome in. um, all right. It is Stephen. Happy birthday to Stephen Chang, everybody. Happy birthday to Stephen Chang. Anthony is now in 2001 in his MRs. That means we know the Yankees did not win in 2001. They came in within one pitch. They lost to Arizona that year. Uh, so today we'll be talking with a pair of podcasters that actually came to me, which is pretty rare if you ask me. I don't really get asked a lot to come over and join in with people with collaborations, but when I do, I'm all about it. And so Jimmy and Mike from Bacon is my podcast. They came over to me on Instagram and said, "Hey, we like your blog, and we like your show, we like your pod, and we want to jump in on it." So I said, "Well, I can't think of a better way to do that than to invite you to come on as guests." So I've been listening to a lot of their shows, and they're very, very cool together. Work very well together. They have like a format pretty much like mine in a sense. Well, they probably a little bit more drinking, probably a lot more bacon going on, but they talk to a lot of the same people that we see here on 8 Questions With. Um, Musicians, artists, actors, writers, pop culture type of folks. And they do it with us sipping on an adult beverage or two. Really fun show, and they just got done changing the title of their show. They changed they got a new title, and I just discovered them with their old title, and I got to tell you, I love the old title. You get somebody out there yelling bacon over your for your intro, you got me hooked. uh let's see. No, they're talking about real bacon. They're talking about the bacon you put between two slices of bread with lettuce and tomato. That kind of bacon. Bacon. They love bacon. Let's see. EI is cracked up because yeah. Uh, Swamp Kitty is the funniest thing. It's the cutest thing. And then Bones goes ahead and creates a killer avatar for it. So every time Bones plays Swamp Kitty, I actually come in a lot of the times when he plays it. As soon as he plays it, I say, "Where's Erica? Where's Erica?" Uh, um, so they'll be here shortly. I think Jimmy is going to be first. I think he's going to be here first. I think Mike is coming. Of course, this could be vice versa. Um, I think Jimmy will be here with us first. Mike will be joining us shortly afterward. So this show might get extended by a few minutes tonight, so we can give the other podcaster, either Mike or Jimmy, will give them a chance to come on in and answer some questions as well. And you know how that goes with podcasters. We tend to talk a little bit more among ourselves, so a 90-minute show generally goes up to a couple of hours when you talk to fellow podcasts. Um, oh yes, he didn't he? That's what makes it really fun. It's the Swamp Kitty, and then it's and the really cute cat. Yes, yes, he did. Bones knows how to do. Knows how to make an intro. Wow. So we got a busy week today, or just today. We got a very busy week. This evening. And let me tell you what's coming up. So tonight, Bacon. Bacon is my podcast. Of course, is here. Tomorrow night we'll be talking with Laura Shadire, and she is a animal rescue visual artist, and all around multi hyphenated talent. She'll be here tomorrow night. And then on Thursday, the 19th, we have Annie Stott will be here. Singer Annie Stott will be here with us. She has she has a brand new record that she'll be dropping, and we'll be talking about that. Hey Jen, how are you? How are you? Glad you're here. Glad you're here. Cassie is here. I was over hanging out with Cassie's channel, and she was talking about the Wendigo. I was hooked. I was hooked. I was there for a while. I'll probably have to go back and rewatch that because I did come in late to it. But I love the Wendigo. The Wendigo is one of my favorite characters, favorite creatures. Now I have to admit, I have to admit, I did not read. I think I know the Algonquin Indians. I know that they were from Canada and they came down into North America, into America as we know it. But the Wendigo creature itself is a Canadian or of Canadian origin. It didn't originate in America; it originated in Canada. Uh, and so I saw that and I'm like, wow, because whenever someone does a Wendigo movie in the United States, it rankles me because the Wendigo, as far as I know, the history and the lore of it, started out in Canada. So, and when I see an American filmmaker try to do a Wendigo movie, oh, just you just don't want to see it. At least I don't. Uh, okay, all right. Yeah, that's what I that's what I thought. That's what I thought. Um, it did originate in Canada, of course, Cassie's gonna shake her head and go like, "Yeah, I should have known this." But my introduction to the Wendigo, and no, it wasn't the Secret Saturdays. My introduction to the Wendigo actually came from Marvel Comics. Marvel Comics created a character called the Wendigo, and then I went ahead and read about it, and I thought the creature was really cool. And so I was really hooked when you were telling the story about it. Uh, well, yeah, it is sort of North American per se, but the creature itself it's native to Canada. Native to Canada. Pap Master. Pap. When you think of cryptids, when you think of cryptids, think about Arizona. You know, whenever I think about cryptids, I always think about the Secret Saturdays. That's a kick-ass show too. I don't know very many people who know about the Secret Saturdays, but I love them. I love the show. Um, yeah, it is very interesting. I'm gonna have to come back and go back and listen to that from tip to turn because I want to see everything and learn everything there is about the Wendigo. Because obviously I don't know as much as Cassie does. Cassie was sitting there just dropping. She was just dropping knowledge bombs about it. And who's to say that there isn't a Wendigo? I mean, who's to say? Um, I mean, we've had Bigfoot here for many generations. So who's to say that there isn't such a thing as a Wendigo? That's how I look at it. You know, X Files introduced me to all those types of creatures and so much more. And see, that's a good, yeah, that's a yeah. The X Files, that's actually that's actually a really good question. That's actually a really good question. Would people consider the X Files more of an alien show or more of a cryptoid show? That's a really good question. I personally always felt like it was more cryptid because they always had different creatures. Like we really never truly see a spaceship in the show. Yeah, I do too. You know what? That's funny. It's funny is you mentioned the X Files. What the doorbell has rang. Oh man, this is a great introduction, chat. Thank you guys so much. I'm really engaged with this. The doorbell has rang, so let's go get one of our favorite baconators. Like I said, I'm not sure which baconator we're getting. I just know we're getting one, and then the other is going to be coming here soon. So please help welcome Jimmy, and Mike from Bacon is My Podcast. Woo! Oh, we might got them both.
Hello.
Oh, we got one. We got one. Greetings.
We will have both. He will be here at roughly 8:05.
At 8:05. Well, that will be just about 9 minutes. So we could already waste one of our 8 questions.
Waste? There's no waste. There is no waste here.
We are going to come across with one question right here to get this thing rocking and rolling. First of all, are you Mike or are you Jimmy? Because I watched you guys. Because you guys never really introduced yourselves during your show, and I'm like, I think they know each other, who know each other so well.
Yes. Yeah. So I am Mike.
Okay.
The nameplate. We have StreamYard too, so we can. We have StreamYard too, so we have the same configuration.
Okay, yeah. I must have caught one where I did not see it because I didn't see it. I was scanning through all the episodes today just to see who you were talking to, and I saw how you have full length episodes, and then you have some 7 questions episodes in between the main interview. I liked it. It was really cool.
Thank you.
I did say this though, and I feel really bad saying this, but I did catch the new intro. I got the new intro, and I'm sitting there and I'm watching it, and we're like, "Wow, this is their new intro," but the old one is so badass. You know, you guys out there chanting bacon and bacon is my podcast. I'm just sitting there, I'm Bob. I'm Wayne's worlding out to it.
Yeah, it is the state. It's the same theme. We're musicians, and Jimmy and I wrote that and recorded that one drunken night here in the studio. When we started the podcast, we had this like generic Philomora canned music, like license free music, and we were like, we need a good theme. So that was like way at the beginning. We did that, and then we just did this relaunch, which is now, instead of just doing the 7 questions and then the guest show and then the show with us as well, our full show is our What's Your Bacon in 7 Questions, which kind of attaches the full show to that 7 questions as well. So yeah,
I can understand that, and it'll stretch out the show a little bit too. Most of your shows seem to be, I'm not sure if it's before or after editing, but a lot of your shows seem to be about that 1 hour to 1:10 long length. I found doing a show about 90 minutes for non-tubers to be in my comfort zone. Like tonight, we'll probably talk more than 90 minutes because we're tubers, and for some reason, the replays when we're talking among ourselves always do much better.
Oh yeah.
Which is really strange because you sit there and you introduce a musician or an artist or an actor, and you're sitting there going like, "This is the one that's going to get me all the everybody's going to come want to see this."
Yeah.
But it's the ones you do with your peers that they're the ones that actually get the love.
What I actually found, and this is something that if any of our PR people that we work with. If you're watching, sorry, but when it comes to the bigger acts, bigger names and stuff like that, they don't share it as much.
No,
they're paying a service, and that service is seeking out opportunities to be on shows to talk about whatever it is that they're talking about, and then once they do it, and they go, well, I'm reaching their audience. I paid my PR person to reach a new audience, and that's that, as opposed to like reciprocation, right? So when it comes to peers, I mean, yeah, like, of course I'm going to share the YouTube link with you. When you sent it over, I was like, oh, good. I'm glad we have this now. We're going to send that out. We did some posts and we did it. And we're going to continue to do it. We're going to do it, this week. We're going to be like, hey, we were on this show. Go check out the video. Here's the link, all that kind of stuff. And you get that more with peers than you do with.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what's really cool about this is the fact that, I was surprised, because I got, when you guys came to me and you said, "Hey, we've been looking at your, looking at your pod, and we want to work with you and do some collaborations." And I'm like, hell yeah, because I'm all about a collaboration. And
Yeah.
so, yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing what the future, has. Now, of course, now you probably could discover one thing about me, with podcasting is whenever I have a guest come on, and people in the chat, some people in the chat can tell you this is true. Whenever I book a guest, and I don't know how you guys do this, but whenever I book a guest, I book the guest, but then I sort of stay away from them a little bit. Like like I'm not in contact with them every day, all day.
Mm-hmm.
And I because I really want to do is I want to keep that element of freshness, and like I don't want to over talk before the
Oh,
show
yeah.
gets here, but I always tell them, like, I'm still here. We're still gonna have a kick-ass show. It's just I just don't want to become too familiar too soon. After
Sure.
the show is over, yeah, man. Anytime you want to talk, man, I'm down. I'm down for that.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, I agree. Actually, it's funny, like, sometimes we do have friends on, being in band circles and being in podcast game. You you cultivate relationships, and you decide, okay, well, this person would be cool, or this person would be cool to have on, that kind of stuff. Um, let's be honest, we're not going to invite all of our friends on our podcast because just it might not make for a good show, But
right.
but they, when we do bring friends on that we do talk to regularly, like for instance, our buddy DJ Perlman from the band Revel 9, he also has a radio show called the Hard Rock Lunchbox. We talk to him daily. We had him on the show, and we ended up with a 3-hour show, and it was just, some people you can do that with, but
Yeah.
like to your point, sometimes you don't get talkers, and we also a lot of times have an intermediary, right? You have management, you have PR, you have this, you have that. So when it comes to the music end of things and a little bit of the acting as well, there is usually a intermediary, and that creates that distance already.
Now, I'm going to go to the chat because I'm going to ask you a question real quick.
Yeah, yeah.
Before you got here, we were talking about the Wendigo. So our friend Cassie, I'm not sure if she's still here. Hopefully she is. And she was here earlier, and we were talking about she did a history, Tales Told in the Dark. She did a history of the Wendigo, and that got us in talking about the X-Files. And so, have you ever seen the show The X-Files? Are you familiar with it?
Oh, yeah, yeah. A long time ago. Long time ago. I
Um,
wasn't a regular watcher, but I did see it.
Now, do you see the X-Files as more as an alien show or as a cryptid show?
Well, you got to figure they kind of coined or created the buzz behind the chupacabra.
Yeah,
Like, so, yeah, and the Wendigo kind of thing. So
right.
yeah, I would definitely classify it more as a cryptid show. It
That's
started
what I
as Alien. It definitely started and was rooted in Alien, but yeah.
but it got into more cryptid, which I really like because I mean it's probably maybe it's the best live action show when it comes down to cryptids. Overall, the one show I loved the most when it comes down to cryptid was a cartoon that came out called The Secret Saturdays. That show was pretty tight. That was
Okay.
I think it ran for like 3 or 4 years, and it had Phil Morris and it had Nicole Sullivan as the two lead voice actors, and that show was a lot of fun, a lot of fun.
I'll have to check
And
that out.
yeah, I'll have to. Oh, sheesh, it's hard to find now. Maybe it's still on Cartoon Network, I think, or HBO Max, since that Warner Brothers put it out. Um, let's see. Yeah, the Chupacabra episode was interesting. That's, yeah, I know a lot of people who love chupacabras, and they talk about them quite a bit. So, as far as your guests go and stuff like that, when you're mentioning like there's an intermediary, so I take it that you go through a third party to land your guest, or do you do you go after them yourselves and ask them, hey, would you like to be on the show first? What's the best way for you to attract a guest?
So for us, I mean, when we started the show, it was not meant to be a guest show. Oh, wait, hold on. We have a run in.
Uh-oh.
We have a run in.
I'm running in. I'm running in.
He's here.
I am here. I've arrived.
Jimmy G has arrived.
Jimmy has arrived.
How's fire?
We are setting his audio up. So yeah, it was not meant to be a guest centric show per se, but it kind of happened out of nowhere because we were just kind of like we had his girlfriend on, who's in an awesome band and also does some awesome rock and roll type things, and we were like, all right, we're gonna have her on as a guest, and we did, and we enjoyed it. It was a good time, and we're like, well, maybe we should try booking other guests. And this was during COVID, and I just started shooting emails out to different people, pro wrestlers, musicians. I would look at DMs. I would send DMs to people and stuff like that. And because it was COVID and people just kind of had nothing else to do, they were like, sure, we'll come on the show. If anybody's a wrestling fan out there, one of the first people to get back to us was a wrestler by the name of Mark Marrow. And
yeah,
he, I shot an email out, and about 20 minutes later, I get a call from Florida, and I answer it. I'm at work at the time. I'm working in an office. I answer it, and I go, hello? And they say, Mike, this is Mark Marrow. How are you? And I was like, what? Excuse me? Like the Mark Marrow calling me on my phone? So that was very easy transaction. Him, Eric Bischoff, The Godfather, like all people, they were just kind of willing to just come on. Musician wise, we did have a few people that were, just very cool. A couple of the guys from Silverstein, they were just like, yeah, sure, we'll come on. But we did run into a situation where the artist told us, hey, I would love to come on the show, but I work through a PR agent, so I can't book it. You have to book it through them. And that kind of in turn put me into the world of
people.
Yeah. PR people and stuff like that.
As soon as any guest does that, because I just recently had that too, and I talked to someone who I want to interview, and I thought I'd be able to do a one-on-one, but they said, well, here's my manager's name, and as soon as you hear that, I'm just like, yeah, that's we're out of that.
Well, that's the thing is sometimes you just gotta. The way I approached it was you just throw a lot of shit at the wall and see what sticks, and it ended up growing the podcast to what it is, what it is now. And
the clip with Bischoff, and I was super impressed by that. I went, holy crow, I was like, damn, that's pretty stacked. That was then you had Sean Kanan on there, and I'm like, all right, it's like, okay, these guys are pulling some heavyweights here.
Yeah, funny enough, Sean Kanan was a direct one-on-one thing. He was very, very down to do it.
Our friend Jen is doing the Godfather's intro. Yep, that's the whole train pimping ain't easy. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love the Godfather. I hated the right to censor angle, but I did love the Godfather.
Absolutely.
The Godfather was that was one of those things that just made WWE just so much fun to watch.
For sure.
You got a very popular wrestler like that with a hit gimmick that hits. Because gimmicks are just they're a dime a dozen. It's rarely that one really truly sticks. And so I saw that when he says, and I was glad to see him call himself the Godfather too. That was a lot of fun. I don't get very many wrestlers on here. I have a couple of friends who do wrestling interviews, so I pretty much leave that up to them as far as that goes. Is there any guests that you guys? I guess I should go. Before I ask that question, I should really retract and go back and find out how you guys met. How did Jimmy and Mike meet? I'm thinking it's probably through music. But how did you guys meet and become friends?
You want to take this?
You are correct. Hi, I'm Jimmy. What's going on? Hello, everyone in the chat.
I'm going to go get a
I
beverage.
snuck in
course.
quickly. Mike's going to go get a beverage, which I can't wait for. My favorite part with The Godfather was getting to have a shot with him, which was excellent. Whiskey with The Godfather. That was awesome.
Can't go wrong with that.
Can't go wrong with that at all. So Mike and I met because we're both singers in bands. Our bands played a bunch of shows together. We rehearsed in the same building, so we were right down the hall from each other. We played enough shows with each other to get familiar, to kind of know that we could kind of joke around with each other, and like that friendship built. So we started playing pranks on each other at shows and taping each other in our rooms and
at our rehearsal studio,
studios and all that kind of stuff. So that turned into actually finding out that we're both wrestling fans, and Mike invited me over for some pay-per-views. What is that?
Oh, so real quick, shout out to my buddy AJ. He is actually the drummer in my band, Something Heavy. He knows that we like to try weird stuff on this show every once in a while, and he had a Dominican friend give him this bottle from the Dominican Republic, and he's like, "I'm not going to drink it. You want it?" And I was like, "Yes,
Okay,
I would." I'm going to let you know what it is after you drink some, though.
Well, I can see, because of the type of lid that is on it right there, that it is probably one, flammable.
No, it's not. It's not flammable.
Or two, is that like a
Look? It doesn't come out.
What'd you do?
How many idiots does it take to open a bottle?
Did you break it?
Maybe.
Did you break it? I think you broke it.
I might have broke it.
You might have broke it.
Which Haitian animal dish will go best with that?
Definitely. I don't know. Alley cat, maybe.
Yeah, it would be an alley cat too, right?
I would think alley cat.
Go ahead.
Keep because he can't get the lid off. So
like a monkey effing a football.
He's got to get his paws on it.
And of course, the big reason why we mentioned that is because the Dominican Republic is right next door to Haiti. So you can take your bottle of wine, you can drive across the border, pick up some spare ribs.
You're really having a hard time.
Are you really surprised? Are you really surprised to see how completely stupid our country has gotten? When you hear someone like a JD Vance get out there and talk that sort of trash. I mean, do you just sit there and go like, that's just something that that I just can't believe someone would actually believe this. I mean,
yeah. There's a lot of unbelievable stuff that's been going around. I do enjoy that he did at least come out and say, "Hey, I make up stuff, and I'm a
liar. I'm a liar."
Yeah.
Well, yeah, we sort of already knew that about you already. But
that's refreshing. Is the whole hey, I'm going to make up stories about cats. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what you did with that.
I don't know.
I'm going to grab something else and open it.
Grab something else.
I'm taking the lead here, and we're moving on to some Irish whiskey.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't think we're going to be seeing the Dominican today, but we're going to have some Irish whiskey.
Yeah. We're just covering the ice.
We're just covering the ice. That always be good.
Sure, available now.
Yeah.
And we already got you guys. Getting a new sub. Our good friend Steve and his beautiful dog Lucas. Lucas boy has just subbed. I will drop. Actually,
thank you.
Yeah, that's
nice.
I put the link to Mike and Jimmy's YouTube channel on top of the chat. Head on over there and hit that sub button while you're here. By all means.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, no, thank you guys so much.
The channel's cool because it's everything from the podcast, but it's also music from our bands. It's Mike and I both did like a dueling thing a couple summers ago where I was taking songs and turning them acoustic and just doing them singer-songwriter style, and then he was taking songs and doing them heavy and doing them like metaling them up. So there's all kinds of fun stuff over there. So definitely check it out. Thank you guys. Appreciate it so much.
Yeah, that's great. Thanks so much, Jen. I appreciate that so much. Thanks for the support.
Cheers. Cheers to all of you.
Cheers. Cheers to the chat, baby.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm the host, so I have to drink coffee. Otherwise this show would be rather short in duration.
I don't know, Patrick. I don't know. We're hosts and we drink all the time. So although maybe our show's not good.
Right.
I actually watched how you guys do that, and it's very how do I say it? It's we definitely see you guys drink on camera, but it's sort of Hollywood. It's just like you look like you're drinking a big shot, but you're not. You're just sipping it, And I think that's cool. Now have you accidentally gotten trashed on a show by mistake?
Our
first couple episodes are pretty brutal.
Large chunk of episodes were basically just watching us get wasted and talk nothing.
Yeah. We so the way this started, so we ended up playing in bands for like separate bands for the past it's gonna be like 15 years.
While you were getting a drink.
And COVID hit, we couldn't do what we wanted to do. A buddy of his reached out, said, "Hey, do you have a song for a vampire movie?" And he said, "No, but would you like me to write one?"
Yes, bacon is my passion. Is also a bunch of music on Spotify. If anybody wants to go check it out.
Yes, and
we made music together.
We made
for
music
a vampire film.
And I was like, "Yeah, sure, let's do it." And we wrote a song for a vampire film, and the fans of our band were like, "Oh, we were kind of like, all right, well, we're a COVID pod now, so let's hang out every Friday.
Yeah, it was
so this way we have something to do." And I built this studio, a recording studio, in my garage during COVID as well. So I was like, we have a place to go, so let's just write and record and do stuff. And our fans were kind of like, we'd love to be a fly on the wall. And we were like, well, we hang out and BS for an hour or two.
Your request.
And all we have to really do is throw a camera on, and just steamrolled from there. But yeah, the first 2 episodes is actually the first episode. Yeah. But after listening back and editing, I was like, this is more like 2 episodes. And even that is stretching it.
We're always getting better.
Oh yeah, that's a good thing. So the first couple of episodes you did, you were just because I think when everybody starts. I think I don't know very many people that, deliberately start, decide. Actually, I take it back. My friend Jeff Clark said that today. He said he's gonna start a podcast. So he's deliberately going to create one. It seems like now, like I know there's a lot of celebrities that are doing podcasts now, but I can't really take them all that because a lot of time they just fizzle out.
Yeah,
right. They'll get into it, and next thing you know, 30 or 20, 30 episodes in, it's they've like talked themselves out, and because a lot of times, unless they have their celebrity guest, then they can keep going. But most of the time, though, like me, I was inspired by Michael Rosenbaum. That was that's who got me going. As far as doing this on air. But as far as you guys know, I don't think a lot of people ever plan on doing a podcast. I mean, it wasn't like okay, here's what we're gonna do, how we're gonna do it, or it's more like, hey, let's turn on the camera and say hi to our friends and talk.
Yeah, that's genuinely how it happened. And then it was like, people are watching this. I guess we should keep doing it. And then it was like, maybe we should get lights and not like be sitting on stools in front of like a webcam. And we were like, let's try and make it look a certain. We came from such a band type of mindset to where it was like as soon as anybody started watching it, we were like, okay, now we gotta figure out how it's gonna look. We gotta figure out how it's gonna sound. We gotta figure out, and it just became that. And it was super fun, and we never really cared if people listened or not. It was just kind of like, like, if you like it, cool. If you don't like it, cool. But people are listening, so we'll keep doing it. And luckily, we're both singers, so we never shut up, and we have lots to say. So that's kind of, we just kind of kept it rolling. But you're doing it live, which is awesome.
Yeah, we do it live. This is it. I mean, whatever happens, this happens, and it doesn't get edited out. We just keep it up there, and it's raw and it's organic. And when we were talking about the 7 questions and 8 questions, and it was like, no, I don't. I really don't just ask 8 questions. Not here. But when I started out, mine started out as a traditional blog, and I
Okay.
started doing interviews on my blog called 8 Questions With, and that is when I started doing 8 questions. I would send the who I wanted to talk to, I would send them anywhere 8 to 12 questions, and I would send them off to them through email, and then and I told them, I says, whatever you write, that's what we're going to put on here. We're not going to do anything other than grammar errors. Otherwise, whatever you say, it's how you say it is exactly what's going to be up. We're not touching it at all, because you know how that goes. I mean,
Sure.
Nice. Yeah.
people want to edit it to the nth degree, and it's like that makes I don't want sanitized. I want it raw. I
Yeah.
want people to be honest. And so when I came over here and did it, everybody in the chat's going like, yeah, we've heard this one before, but these guys haven't. So give me grace enough to let me explain this.
It's new to us. It's new to
Yeah,
us.
because I'm going like, because sometimes I find myself when I tell certain stories, I'm always looking at the chat. I'm wondering if they're doing a drinking game. Like he just got done mentioning his old blog. Drink.
Us too, man.
Us too. We
Us
fall into
too.
the same
Totally guilty.
thing. Yeah.
I started doing YouTube, and I was doing another show, and all of a sudden it was like, I wonder if I could do this, like 8 questions. I wonder if I could do this here on YouTube. And lo and behold, and you had your first guest on. Hey, come over and talk to us. That's what I did. I went out there. I sent out a request to somebody. He says, would you be willing to come out here and talk to us on a live show? And they said, sure. And so we got our first guest, and it worked, and it was really fun. And then I said, after a while, I said, we should do this here. And so that's what we did. And it's been almost 500 shows now.
Wow,
awesome.
that's
500.
awesome, man. I love I'm loving live. I think it's really cool. We go live every week. We have our patrons, and so we invite them to watch what we're doing live every single week, and then we put it up the following week. But we don't do much editing.
No,
It's pretty on the fly too. I think we just got into the habit of, because we were doing 3 shows a week for a while, and it was just craziness, and we only had one day to do everything. So it was like, all right, let's bank this and do it. We're kind of getting off of that a little bit now. So I think we're getting in the position to where maybe we can do some live stuff, because I would love to, because that would be super fun.
I do 3 a week too. Sometimes I'll do, like this week I'm doing 4 actually. I'm doing my regular 3, and then I'm doing one on Saturday afternoon. And then the next week I'm doing 5. I'm doing one from Italy, and then I'm doing my 3 regular shows, and then I'm doing another one Saturday night.
Dude, you're an animal. That's amazing.
It really is. When you guys, how do you guys put your show together? I mean, here you are. You did your first 2 shows, and you loved it, and you're going like, this is great. And you were doing your lights, and you got your microphone and what have you. When did you guys decide to set the format? Like, what are we going to do for format wise? Are we going to have like different segments? Are we going to rotate the different type of people? Who are the people we're going to talk to? How many, kind of type of people are we going to talk to? Will there be anything off limits?
We kind of let it kind of just happen. We went in with like, let's not talk about like politics, religion, unless we get somebody on that, like, that's their thing and they really want to talk about it. But we'll try and steer clear that into more of the entertainment stuff.
Again, because it was 2020 when we started it.
More positive.
It was just,
we figured everybody's at home, like, bored and angry, and so we were like, let's be an escape,
Right.
So that was the original idea, and we came up with 7 questions pretty quick.
Yeah, our first couple episodes didn't have them, but our first couple episodes ended up being 2-parters. Our first couple episodes with guests ended up being 2-parters, and then we were like, okay, we gotta trim this down. We gotta figure this out. We gotta make these a little tidier.
Yeah, and I totally I totally stole the idea for 7 questions from Stephen Colbert.
Yeah.
He has the Colbert questionnaire, and I thought that was such a really great idea, because if you ask, like, ours was like the same 7 questions, and it's like if you ask 7 ridiculous questions to somebody, you're taking them out of the normal, like if they're on to promote something, or if they're coming on with an agenda or anything, or if they're coming on and they're nervous, you're immediately taking them out of that mindset and having some fun with them and doing something silly, making them decide if cereal's a soup, like things like that. And then allowing for tangents and getting into that type of stuff, because that's what I always thought was most interesting. And when we talked about it, we both were like, we don't want to talk to musicians about the same things that everyone else talks to the musicians
How'd
about.
you get the band name?
Right? Because we hated those interviews.
Right.
What's your Mount Rushmore, all that kind of stuff. You can find all that stuff. That's on everything.
That's
Everybody,
on 7 or 8 different interviews
everybody
that they've done
has it.
before.
But if we get someone on and we're like, how do you feel about garden gnomes? And we actually asked that as one of our questions. And we had a guy in a band that randomly was like, you know what? I have a hobby where I paint them in my garage. We were like, you are lying. Everything you say right now is a lie. And he was like, no. And he showed us, dude paints gnomes. And it turns into a more interesting conversation, we thought, where we were like, let's figure out what people geek out about. Because that's
what the whole thing, Bacon is my podcast, is. Yeah. Bacon is my passion. What's your bacon is our tagline, and that's kind of the crux of the show. Is bacon makes everything better, right? Yeah. Everything, topping, side, main course, whatever it is. For some people,
bacon is very versatile. I mean, you can put anything.
Exactly. So if you have a career musician on the show, and that's all they talk about, and that's all they do, and that's their job, it's like, all right, well, what do you turn off with? What makes your life a little better? Obviously, music, right? That's your job. Answers. But what is your wind down? What is your other thing that, when the rigors of your job that is music get you down? What is it? Charcuterie? Is it
right?
Is it knitting? Is it video games? Is it comics? Is it wrestling? Is it,
I mean, looking I'm just seeing your chat right now, and even bringing up pro wrestling, it started turning into conversations about pro wrestling.
Right.
So it's getting into those type of things. Like let's go on tangents and go on rides, and talk about anything that, like, if you think in your mind, like, man, I wish somebody would ask me about this. I could talk about this for hours.
Yeah.
Like, all right, well, let's figure it out. Let's talk about that.
No, isn't it? See, I don't do presets. Like as for us, we sat down here, we just started talking, we started rapping, and that's how I don't know where it's gonna go. I just know that it's going somewhere. I feel like in a way, I feel like Willy Wonka. He got in there and he says, I don't know where we're going. I'm not sure how we're gonna get there, or but I can rest assured that we are getting there. And that's how I feel too. I just like that. I don't know what's gonna happen. I really truly don't. I don't know what we're going to talk about. I might have something in the back of my head, but it all depends on what the guest does. If the guest, like I'm with you, and I'm so pleased to hear you have the same mindset, and that whereas you don't ask the same questions. Oh my God, I really work hard at that. When I talk to a guest, they could have. They could have something really well known in their career. They're really well known for that. And I personally, I won't bring it up.
Yeah.
Won't.
Yeah. I think that's great.
Yeah. I will. I'm like, no. They've already answered those questions till Dinosaur does. So I try to do something a lot more interesting. There's, like everywhere, a lot of the actors are known for that one part or two part, or a band's known for that one album. And it's like, but they have 5 records. So how come we're only talking about the one? Or they have 50 credits, but why are we only talking about the two movies they made? we have 48 other ones that they're never talked to about.
Yeah, and
Right. And they've already had that same conversation 1,000 other times.
and
You
what's
know?
what's really cool is and Jimmy here is really good when it comes to research. Like for me, I'll actually, when we have a guest that week, I'll try and listen to a podcast that somebody's been on, or you know, a YouTube video or some kind of past interview. I'll try and watch like one or two of them just so this way I can get a little bit more acquainted with whoever it is that we have on. But this guy goes the extra mile, and somehow, some way, he comes up with these nuggets, that these weird things that like he won't watch the new interviews.
Right.
He'll watch the old ones where
Mhm.
they were teens
Yeah, I want to find something
playing
that they
Warped
forgot
Tour
they talked about.
with a van, and now they've got like giant buses.
Right.
And he's looking for those. And if they say something stupid, he picks it up. He picks it up.
Always look for the dumb.
I just mentioned before you guys got on here, I mentioned that as far as podcasts, like podcast, being spontaneous, and some people will, they'll say, let's do a podcast, and they'll start it and they realize that it's a lot of work.
Yeah.
Then you got some that are they know what a podcast, what they want to do with a podcast. They're going like, I want to do that, and this is how I want to do it. And Jeff Clark is one of those latter ones. He's going to be starting his podcast very soon, but he knows where he wants to go with it. He's just that type of individual. He comes from the film world, and he's an award-winning performer. And he says he's going to start a podcast, and you already know right away that it's going to be very, very professionally run. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of interesting talk, and you already know that. You already can sense that. I mean, there's some people I've listened to on podcasts, and they get lost. It's easy to get lost trying to do this.
Oh,
Yeah.
for sure.
Oh yeah,
For
yeah.
sure.
And thank you, Jeff. Thank you very much about
Yeah.
the sign.
Thanks, dude.
It was an Amazon purchase.
We try and make it look nice so that our unprofessionalism slips under the radar.
Yes.
I think a PR person, if they came in there and saw that sign, they're probably going to just cut off half the rate of their guest and send them over.
Oh man,
That'd be great.
I got to tell you,
That'd be great.
when it comes to paying for guests, I won't. I will not.
Yeah.
We have been approached by, funny enough, a lot of pro wrestlers they always do that. They try and
Well, that's a business of I got to make something
right.
for everybody.
Virgil, before he passed,
He's
rest his
famous
soul.
for that.
He was he was like, yeah, I'll do hour
I'd pay
125.
now.
What's that?
I'd pay for him now.
Oh yeah, right, exactly.
If he wants to seance in here,
Yeah,
I'll pay that fee.
hell yeah. Who else? Oh, James Ellsworth. He wanted to get paid. I was like, no, thank you. We had Eric Bischoff on. He didn't want to get
music,
paid.
man. No chin music.
Yeah, exactly. But my favorite one was definitely Ken Shamrock, who came to us with a completely egregious number. Like, no way. And that's why he's not on podcast.
Because you're afraid to say no to him.
What's that?
Ken Shamrock. You're like, he'll kill me.
Oh, no.
No, and we don't have an address.
Yeah. But we turned him down.
Yeah.
And that egregious number went way, 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 way down.
It would have hit you with like a couple grand.
No, it was for I believe it was 30 minutes. It was $475 or something for 30 minutes.
Yeah. I think he would have lost the title of the world's most dangerous man for that. $475
for 30 minutes. And then when I said no, he was like, how about 125?
Oh man, don't throw his numbers out like that. He's gonna come for you.
He reached back out. His management reached back out a couple months ago.
We're blowing up his spot.
He's not coming on the show because we're not paying him still. It's okay.
Right.
Yeah.
You know where I live.
So do you get a lot of people? Do you get a lot of people now coming towards you with that? I mean, I've only had two out of the 500 the other shows. I mean, I have never paid for a guest.
Mhm.
Yeah, we haven't either.
I got offered money to interview somebody, an author. An author was going to pay me $300 to interview him, and I'm going like, why would I pay? Why would you have me pay you to interview you when I'm doing that for free for other people? I would
Right.
never take your money ever. I would never take anybody's money to do an interview, and I would never take anybody's money to do a film review. No way. That's just you lose all your integrity and it's
Yeah,
unnecessary.
Yeah.
your credibility shot, right? Like if you're unless you get paid and then you come out and you're like, this film sucks. Like it's almost like you have to give a bad review, otherwise it's going to look like they paid for a good review.
It's,
It puts you in a weird spot.
it does. Now, have you guys done music reviews? I mean, you guys being in the bands and all that. So, I'm sure by now bands are sending you their press kits or their links to Spotify and whatnot. And do you find yourself listening to those when listening to it? And how do you handle a bump in the road like that? Like that maybe there is a band out there with a new record and they go, we want you to interview us, and you listen to the record and it's not very good. So how do you handle that, Jimmy and
Well,
Mike? Do you do the interview, or yeah?
Well,
all right. So
I have a terrible poker face.
right.
I am terminally honest.
He is and being a friend of his for so long and playing so many shows together, and everybody has their off nights, so he and I know when I go, hey bud, how was the show? And he goes, well, you were up there. I know that it was not a good show.
Saw you on stage, you look great.
Yeah. So I don't know if other people know that.
Yeah.
We've for a long time, because we've worked with a lot of big PR companies and stuff, and as musicians, you kind of learn to take some on the chin, so this way you get the better opportunities. And we did that a little while, and what we tried to do again, but I think what was good for us is the fact that we are not here to talk about your single.
Yeah.
We are not here to talk. You can promote it, but we're here to talk to you.
If you watch our shows that are talking to bands, you absolutely it's completely obvious, because there are certain bands that I don't ask at all about their music, like even a little.
Right.
And then there's bands where I'm just like, hey, I really like what you did in this song here, and oh, this video is really good, and I love the visuals of this, and how did you I'll dive into things like that. But if there's a band on and you don't hear me even speak about any of their music at all, it means I didn't like it.
Yeah.
And I'm just sitting there going, don't ask me.
But
Don't ask me.
Like, if they ever have, has that happened where they've sensed that maybe you haven't talked to them, and they'll sit there and say, so what do you guys think? I mean, has that
They
happened
don't
yet?
ask.
no, we disarm them pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Again, because of the whole band thing. So that's kind of, we're all kindred spirits. We're all doing this so we don't drive off bridges. And
Yeah, I still respect the game.
right,
Just,
right, and
everybody's
the
got
fact
their
that they're
tastes.
doing stuff with somebody and they're trying to do the right thing for their career, you can't hate on it. But
No.
yeah, we stay away from the music review end of things. We did do one song.
Yeah.
The
It was
Think You the Shit.
yeah.
That
I
song.
can't remember her name now.
Yeah, there was a song called Think You're the Shit, You're Not Even a Fart.
Yeah.
And
yeah,
we did review that song.
Was it a novelty song?
No.
Oh.
It was done with complete seriousness.
Yeah. Please hold.
And then I saw that she was at the Grammys the next night, or that week or something like that too. So
Wow.
the artist is doing really well. I can't remember her name right now, but it just happened to be that one song. It was like, oh,
Okay, Ice Spice. Ice
Ice
Oh,
Spice.
Spice.
God. Okay. Okay. So, so how do you like dealing with the upper echelon though? I mean, have you ever met any artists or actors or anybody else that you guys have gotten starstruck over?
Yes.
Him, yeah,
Several times.
yeah, me a couple of times, but we've been lucky enough to really kind of like get a couple of bands that were heavily influential
Yeah.
to you, in a big way. And so I mean, we had Spencer from Under Oath on,
Yeah.
and not only was it like, I mean we're pros. I mean, come on,
Yeah.
we don't show it. We probably showed it, but not only was it like a starstruck moment of like, oh man, they said yes, oh cool, but then they've remained friends since then, and they text each other about
Yeah.
their kids and all that kind of stuff, and so every now and then, like, he'll text me with like this is my life right now. I'm like, yeah, man, yeah, everybody's people. But I remember when Eric Bischoff was on, I was kind of like, wow, we're talking to Eric Bischoff.
Yeah.
And
I would have marked out too for that one.
yeah, and my first two jokes totally didn't land.
Oh yeah, yeah. The Bischoff thing was great.
Oh, like I thought he hated us. For 20 straight minutes, I thought he just I was like, this is going badly. He hates us. This is awful. And then he told us I have 30 minutes. He told us at the beginning, he was like, I got 30 minutes. I got people coming over for dinner. That's what I have. We have to be done by then. So I'm like looking at my watch, and we're like, okay, 30 minutes. We can do this. We can do something. And at the 30-minute mark, he goes, I like you guys. Let's hang out. And we hung out for like another hour.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was kind of like, yeah, I do have people over, but I didn't really want them here. I don't like them.
So
you know what, that does happen a lot, doesn't it? Like I get that too. Sometimes I'll get a PR person who will sit there and say, yeah, you get it for like 30 minutes. And I'm going like, like I saw my friend Sean, he did one of those press junkets, where everybody got to go in and ask like one question.
Oh yeah.
Maybe two. You got 5 minutes. So you got maybe get two questions in. And I'm going like, you would never catch my ass doing that. Because I would walk in there and say, I'm asking 4 questions. I'm asking 4 or 5 questions. I'm going to ask those questions. Otherwise, it's not a waste. It's a waste of my time. It's not a waste of their time. It's a waste of my time. Because sometimes they'll do that. They'll sit there and say, well, you can get it for 30 minutes or 25 minutes. And I've done that. I've said, I can't do it. I can't help you because it's just way too short.
Yeah, right. You feel like you're not even getting to know anybody.
No.
I just saw on your chat, Jen Omicron made a shirt for him, designed a shirt for him. That's awesome. That is the closest.
Dangerous. All them live in London in the black at the Black Heart. Yep. Let's see. That's cool too. Bischoff. Yeah, Bischoff would be very cool. He would actually be very cool to talk to. I actually, and sometimes though what's really cool with bands is like I came from a band background too, which I don't know if you guys know that or not.
Oh, nice. What'd you play?
I was a talent buyer.
A what? I'm sorry.
I was a talent buyer for 10 years.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
Yeah. So I was the one to put you guys on stage.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And so I did that for 10 years out of California. And so, and that really right there is what really prepared me for doing this show here. Because, a lot of times when we get somebody well known on, they'll sit there and say, what's it like talking to them? I'm like talking to you. It's no different.
Oh, yeah.
It's really no. Of course, I've had a couple of moments where I've been starstruck, like, I can't believe I'm actually talking to somebody like this is somebody I really wanted to talk to. And then it happens and it's just like, they're just, it's so much fun. Very much.
Did you ever have someone that was like that because you were starstruck, you had a hard time like negotiating with? Like you just didn't care. You were like, I just want you to be here. Whatever.
No, I don't negotiate at all. I honestly, I don't know.
Well, not for the show. I mean, as a talent buyer when you're booking.
Oh, as a talent buyer.
Yeah.
Yes, I was struck. I have in 10 years, I was starstruck 3 times.
Okay.
3 times in my entire career. Number one was John Doe from X.
Nice.
Man, I not only did I book his show, but I ended up sitting there and selling his merch.
Oh,
okay.
dude, that's great.
The second one was Penelope Houston.
I don't know
Now-
who that is. Who's Penelope Houston?
Now Penelope Houston, like you've heard of the Ramones.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know, the Ramones are considered America's first punk band.
Yeah.
Go back a little further to the Avengers,
Okay.
and they toured with the Sex Pistols. And
Oh,
okay.
cool.
Yeah.
I'll check them out.
And the third one that got me starstruck was a folk rock singer named Barbara Manning, based out of San Francisco. But otherwise, everybody was, and they were super nice. And we met a lot, met a lot of people. Sat down and hang out with them, just chilled. It, it was really fun meeting, bringing people backstage to introduce my friend. I brought my friend back there and to give his press kit. I brought him
Mhm.
back there to meet Trent Reznor because we had a 9 Inch Nails.
Nice.
My friend was just like he I didn't think his feet was gonna hit the ground the rest of
Oh,
the
yeah.
show. And
I'd
he
probably
was
feel
sitting
that way
around
with
like,
Trent Reznor.
Yeah.
I'd probably feel that way with Trent Reznor too.
Oh.
Yeah.
and he was the nicest guy. The
Mhm.
nicest guy. We had him on stage. He's playing. They're furious on stage. He turns around and he hits his guitar. His guitar player hits his hand, cuts him open, and he's
Ooh.
singing there with a bloody cut on his hand. I'm back there by the backstage, and I'm just sitting there with a wet towel, some peroxide, and just waiting. And then he comes off, and I just grabbed his hand. Didn't say anything. He didn't say anything to me. He put it up like this, blood everywhere. Didn't say anything to him. Cleaned it all off, wiped it all off. Looked at it, saying that you might need a couple stitches. We put a couple of band-aids on it, and back he went. It was like a pit stop at a race car. Came in, took care of it, get his ass back on stage. He's of course, everybody seen Trent Reznor live knows how much of a powerhouse he is.
Oh yeah.
Now, have you ever been intimidated by a guest?
I don't think so.
No.
Not that I can think
We've
of.
never been intimidated. We've done a lot of shows. I don't have a count, but we did have one show where the band we didn't use the episode. The band came on and immediately sort of gave the FU vibe.
Oh yeah, I know what you're talking about.
And we were like, okay, cool. Like, and they were like, well, we got to do this because we have a music video to shoot tomorrow. And we were like, okay, all right,
Yeah.
cool. Like, let's start her up. We do the 7 questions and they kind of humor us. But by the end of it, they were sort of like, what are we doing here?
Right.
And then, I guess
big timed us a little bit.
Yeah, they big timed us
Big
a little
timed us a
bit. And then it got to a point where like we were just joking around and I don't even remember what I said or how I said it, but they were kind of like, man, are you guys drunk? And I was like, no,
Right.
no, we're not. We're having a good time.
Right.
You're obviously adverse to it. So I basically didn't talk the rest of the episode.
Yeah, they weren't good time guys.
And
good time guys.
we wrapped up pretty quick and we immediately went to their PR people and were like, sorry, this episode isn't usable.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Your band sucks.
yeah.
Not as musicians, just as humans.
Yeah. I mean, I like the one question you mentioned before about the like you get a guest on there and all of a sudden they just hit the wall when it comes down to talking. It's like,
Yeah.
have you dealt with stage fright yet?
Maybe not stage fright, but people that are just kind of quiet.
Oh man. Yeah, we know we have stage fright. Our buddy Joey.
Oh yeah, okay.
Okay, so
that's our friend.
Our friend Joey.
That's our friend he's an idiot.
He is absolutely one of our favorite people in the entire world. He's the bass player. He's played with me a number of times in a bunch of different projects. He's got a really, really great band called the Neon Skyline, which they're awesome. Check them out if you get a chance. But so with him, to us, we were like, we gotta have Joey on. We gotta have him do stuff. And for whatever reason, things just weren't working out. And we ended up having the band Orgy on the show. Now, I go way back with Joey, and in 10th grade, he showed up to school in an Orgy shirt. It was an Orgy, Candy Ass was the album. And he got kicked out of school, or he was told he had to go and change his shirt. And his mother wasn't home, nobody was home, so he had to turn it inside out and wear it the rest of the day.
Okay.
He was such a big fan, and I was just like, you know what? Let's see if Joey can meet Jay from Orgy.
And we had Jay
And-
on, and he was super cool, so we were going to have him on again.
And yeah,
Because
so he was
like,
basically
oh,
like,
I'll come on and I'll release my new. He was releasing a new song, and he was like, I'll play it on the show first. And we were like, really? Like, awesome.
so we ended up we called up Joey, and we were like,
Mhm.
hey, we want you to come on the show. This is the time, whatever. And by the way, Jay from Orgy is premiering a new song. He's
A
like,
couple of
"Excuse
things
me?"
about Joey. He's hilarious.
Oh my God, the most hilarious.
He's nonstop talking.
Mhm.
Sarcasm is a 10 out of 10.
Yep.
Like he's so quick and witty and smart and funny.
Yeah.
And when we were like, this is going to be great because he's going to like fanboy out, and it'll be a great time.
Yeah, and we get on
It was none of those
we
things.
get on the StreamYard, just the three of us, and we're talking and talking. Jay was a little late. Luckily, it was a pre-tape show. Jay was a little late, and we are just laughing. He and I are to the point of close to tears with him. And then you hear the boop for StreamYard, and Jay comes in, and it was crickets.
Yeah, he came out and he was just like,
crickets.
yeah,
Oh,
all right, man. And I was like, no, what are you doing?
yeah. That's
And we
yeah,
even-
that
We even
happened.
set it up. We even set it up with Jay. So Jay came on. He was like, "Hey, I heard you were a fan and everything." And Joe was like, "Yeah, man."
Yeah, he was just scared. Yeah.
Yeah. And then we had his band on. And again, before we hit record, it was nonstop laughing.
Yeah.
Hit that. As soon as he sees that red light, he's like,
So
Oh,
you doing?
yeah.
and it's like, no, stop being not you.
Yeah, that's stage fright right there. Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
yeah,
Oh man, that's rough. I had it for the same person twice. Same person twice too.
Yeah.
Initially was gonna do it, and then the day of the show, she got stage fright so bad, and I mean really bad. And I was like surprised because it was like a poet, used to being in public eye. She got stage fright so bad. And I said, "Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. When you're ready, you just come back there. I'll have a spot for you." I didn't hear from her for months, and finally I did hear from her. She pinged me, says, "Okay, I'm ready for it." And okay, I said, "Okay, here's the date." Get to the date, right? The day before the date happens, she says, I can't do it. I'm scared shitless."
Oh man.
I felt so bad for her too, because it's like, it's not, I try to say, it's not any different from when you're in front of a crowd and, doing your spoken word or doing your poetry.
Right.
It's not any different. In fact, it's more relaxed. It's more of a
Yeah.
relaxed state because you're not really playing in front of anybody. And, you just, it's just, but yeah, she got terrified and couldn't do it. That was, yeah.
I do.
Sometimes it's harder, I think. I know this just as being a performer. Like for me, the amount of people, if there's a lot of people that I'm performing for, that's easy. If it's down to like one or two or just a couple of people, that's when I get nervous. That's when I start to like get a little weird about it. And I think there's like something to the intimacy thing where at least for me, it's like the imposter syndrome kicks in, and you're like, oh no, if it's just us, you're gonna find out how full of shit I am.
Now you've had actors on the show too, and writers and what have you.
Sure,
Who's your favorite person outside of music? Because music is probably you probably feel more at home speaking to other musicians because it's a language you guys can both speak fluently on.
Right.
What's it like interviewing other people? Have you interviewed anybody? Who else have you interviewed outside of just pure music?
Yeah, I mean, we actually we went to Podcast Movement a few weeks back, and that's where we decided, okay, we got to do a little bit of a reformat of the show, and it was one of those things where we both realized that we leaned into music because it was our comfort zone, like you
Right.
said. It was it was just easy for us. It came to us easily. Our connections were already there, so we just kind of kept going with it. And we knew that we need to venture out. We need to do different things, stuff like that. In terms of non-musicians that we've had on, Sean Kanan, the tournament terror from
Yes.
Karate Kid 3 and Cobra Kai. We had Patty Negri, from Ghost Adventures.
She might be my favorite
Oh my God, she's
non-musician.
amazing.
Her and Mark Miro are the ones that like episodes that I personally took the most from.
Yeah.
Where like I learned something and I like developed some kind of like affinity for the person where I'm just like, oh my God, I love you. You're great. Like those two for me.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah, we've had a bunch of paranormal personalities on. We had one of my favorite was KD Stafford.
Yeah.
He's one of the tech guys from Ghost of Devil's Perch, and he's been on a bunch of Ghost of shows. I think he just shot one recently for CW as well, and he's like the tech guy. He makes the tech. Dave
We bought
Schrader,
some of his stuff
yeah, he sent us stuff too
for Ghost Hunt.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Did he hand make the equipment?
What he did was he takes like radios and stuff like that, and he does modifications to make them work like a ghost box or what have you.
Probably to detect EVPs.
Yeah.
Yep. They also, I mean, Dave Schrader we had on. He was great. We
want to do a ghost hunt with our patrons.
Yeah,
We're gonna do something like that.
We're gonna definitely do that. But he ended up getting like kind of heavy on the show too.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think, who else did we do? We did
getting heavy was discussing the subject, going deep into it.
Well, I mean, so again, we talked about the subject for a while, but then we got off into like personal stories and everything,
family and
family stuff,
kids and
comic book stuff, and like so everything kind of starts getting into like people's memories and stuff, so they start sharing a little bit more, and he was talking a little bit and got a little heavy with us, just like it became like a little bit of an emotionally heavy show. You know?
Which is not like us,
which is not typical, but
here we
cool.
were. But yeah, it was
ride the
really
wave
cool.
where it goes. You know?
Yeah, we had a few writers on. This week tomorrow we've had comedians on. We've had Steve Mays on. We've had Ben Glebe.
Yeah,
we've had Keanu Thompson. We've had a lot of comedians. We've had.
Is it easier for
tomorrow?
Have you ever asked a band member, or have you ever had a band? You ask a band to play a song or a comedian to do a set, and they denied you?
Well, we typically don't ask them to do any of that stuff, but what we do is every year we do an awards show. We started doing an awards show called the Bimpy Awards, where we put out again on our Patreon. We have people vote for like their favorite guest, and we give out awards for like drinking buddy and best like bromance and things like that. And so we invite some of the bands to send in stuff if they want to, and we've had a lot of bands actually like record like acoustic versions of songs, go to studios and send them in for us so that we could put it up like a regular awards show with a performance.
We have past guests
we have guests come on and introduce them and
introductions
stuff.
and
everybody's been really cool. Like we've had a lot of them say yes. We've been super lucky with I think because of the way we do the show, and we do make it about like the person and not so much what they do.
Right.
People have like wanted to come back. So we've had a number of guests come back more times to talk about other stuff. And when we do like the award show, people have been so accommodating and so like happy to take time out of their day to like record, like introducing some other band that they don't know, you know, and they'll send us in a recording of them doing it, or taking time to go into a studio and like re-record one of their songs for us to put on
Send
the
in a
show
live
as like
performance.
is only on our
I've had
show.
live performances here. You know, as long as it's all original, you know, I just tell them
Yep.
this is all original. Yeah, you know, could you like I have a vocalist coming in on Friday. She's just dropping a new record, and so you know, I've asked the comedians too. I said, you know, would you be willing to do a quick set, you know, on the air, and they graciously have said yes, and I know how precious that is, you know, because
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know,
that's awesome.
that's money. You know, that's what they, you know, for them to go out there and share you what they get paid for, as a very, it's a, you know, I'm honored, you know, when they say yes, and they go ahead and do it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, comedian especially too, because doing comedy online without an audience, you know, like there's if you got a song and the song's good, you can play the song, get lost in it. But if you're telling jokes and you don't know if people are laughing, that's got to be crazy. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's tough. Um, I don't do too many comedians. I I do some, but I you know, but they're among the people, all the people I've talked to from everywhere. Man, comedians have been the toughest as far as getting an audience. For some reason, you think as soon as you put up, you know, somebody funny, you know, a
Right.
comedian, you would think people want to hear that, you know, they'll laugh and they come check it out. But man, oh man, we touched upon this earlier lightly about promoting. Now you guys have each other, and you know, it's a great team.
Yeah.
Um, I was like, and I think that, you know, obviously, I mean, it would be nice to have a co-host once in a great while. But what do you have you ever guys have you ever done anything, and have you ever done a show solo yet?
Not yet.
Well,
We've
yeah,
had guest hosts.
Yeah, we've done guest hosts.
Yeah, we've gone to like former guests for the show and had a
Mhm.
couple of them guest hosts for an episode, which has been cool. We even had a PR person guest host.
Yeah,
For an
she's a
episode as well.
PR
She's also a
person.
guest.
She works for NotFest,
Mhm.
and she has a podcast herself. And I was like, okay, well, yeah, we've got a cool co-host. We had
so-
our buddy DJ did it before.
So we've
Um,
always kind of like reached out to our friends or reached out to past guests to kind of have them come on and help us out. We haven't done one. We said at the beginning, we were like, hey, if we need to, we'll do it. No big deal. If anybody can't make it, if we can't make it, if so, this show must go on. And it's just never really happened.
I think it's consistency.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah, it really what it is. It really is. Now I want to talk about part of the bane of doing a show though, and that is when a guest no shows. That's always a lovely subject to talk about, isn't it? So have you ever had that happen where
So,
don't
good
ask
cop,
don't
bad
ask my
cop.
that question. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, in terms of no shows with guests,
I
you're
get so mad.
you're obviously in a way different position than us because you go live.
Yeah.
I was 5 minutes early because I was like, you know what? I want to make sure I'm early. I want to make sure I mean, we use StreamYard, but I didn't say that to you. And it was like, okay, well, I could just pop on and we're good. But
I cut out of work early too because I was like, oh my God, I got to get there. I got to get there.
right. So for me, I was like, okay, I'm going to pop on 5 minutes early and, you know, just make sure that everything's good and everything like that. And you were going already. You were already on ready to go. And I was like, okay, we're just doing this. Cool. But yeah, it's amazing how, you know, it's weird because everybody is worried about, oh, well, doing this is a waste of time or whatever.
Yeah.
In my mind. And it's like, okay, well, it's great that you don't think your time is worth it, but you just wasted my time. And you just wasted a spot on somebody who could have who wanted it, could have it. And, yeah, I mean, it happens in the early days. I gotta say, we lucked out. We lucked out.
Yeah.
Really, really, all the time we lucked out. I think.
In general, we're super fortunate with that. Like,
Yeah. We had.
It happened.
I think it was what. Okay, so we booked it. We used to book doubles. Like we'd have 2 shows booked or 3 shows booked to put them in the can. We had, like, in the very early days, Sean Kanan actually called that day and was like, "Hey, listen, I'm shooting a movie." He actually called. He was very apologetic. He was like, "Can we move this to next week at a certain time? Would you mind?" Blah blah blah. And that was super cool. He called, several hours prior. We did have a no-show with a new PR company, and they were kind of jerks about it. And then we were kind of like, what do we do? And I just randomly, out of one of the emails that went out, got a bigger band than what they were offering. And they were like, hey, we'll do it. We'll do it today. And he and I were like, okay, we have an hour to research this guest. And that worked out. It wasn't until probably almost 2 years that we had our official, like, an actual no-show, like a double no-show, where we didn't have anything backed up or anything like that. And at that point, we were kind of saying, the roots of the show, we didn't have guests. It just became a guest show.
Yeah.
So we were like, yeah, if guests don't come, we can still do a show.
Right. And we still had a Just Us show.
Well, at that point, we had.
Yeah, we started. We were like, let's continue to do a show that's just us as well, so that if we run into something, we can always just kind of roll into doing a show, and people aren't expecting a guest every time.
Right.
So there's that too. Whose bands are usually good because most of the bands that we have are up and coming, and so they're hungry and they're really wanting to be on. The paranormal people have been great because they're also, like, they're used to being on time and regimented. I'll tell you who sucks. You know who sucks? YouTube celebrities.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
Never again. Never again.
Oh God, I never had a YouTube celebrity on. Don't really.
We've tried several.
We were gonna have a couple just because it was somebody that was like PR again was like, hey, would you consider doing this? And we were like, sure, why not? And like, one, it was a struggle looking into what they do, because the ones we picked were like, wow, all their songs are terrible and I can't relate to this person at all. We just happened to get ones that weren't great. And then they just don't contact you, they don't show up, or they didn't, these few, and act like they're more important, and I guess they're just used to everybody being on their time.
Right.
And I was like, never again. Like, F this person, F this person.
We even did a show. We did
a whole show bitching about that exact thing.
Yeah. And it was really good because Jimmy was on fire.
It's very mad.
He was fired up.
Congratulations. Yeah, you know what? Okay, they say that, like, when that happens, you have to sort of, like, have to, it's part of the deal, you have to swallow it and keep going on and whatnot. But I say that to that, I say, you know what? The hell with that.
The hell with that.
The hell with that. If someone burns my ass, I'm not afraid to call them out on it either.
No.
And I'm not. I there's one that everybody here knows about. There's one guest I had on. He was the guy who had the Green Goblin mask from Maximum Overdrive.
Oh, okay.
Tim Buckley, and I booked him, and I'm thinking, it's just like one of the easiest bookings I've ever done. The guy's, he's done hundreds of shows, conventions, and what have you. He's a total professional. He's the last person you expect to no call, no show. Not only did he no call, no show, but he lied about it.
Oh.
He lied because he had his Facebook up and running, and you know how that every time it tells you that they're active. You can tell they're online. And he was sitting there going like, I fell asleep, I slept all day, and I'm like, That's really funny because your Facebook said otherwise. And I blew him up. I said, I expected of anybody I expected to be professional about this, it would have been you. It would have been you. You've done this many, many times before. You know how that goes. How would you feel if some convention guy would have walked up to you and said, "There, yeah, well, I hired you for the weekend, but I changed my mind at the last minute, but I didn't tell you." I mean, how do you feel about that? Well, I don't feel really good about it. Well,
Yeah.
and I had no problem. I still don't have any problem calling his ass out for it either. And yeah, no problem.
Well, we actually,
I would totally call out the douche canoe that did that to us, but I erased his name from my memory. And even if I had it, I wouldn't say it because then that means one person would look him up. And I hope he fails. And I hope his channel fails. And I hope his
you
stupid
got him on a roll.
YouTube show.
Look what you did.
I love interviewing tubers. I mean, tubers are a lot of fun to talk to. And in fact, there's people in this chat here I've talked to. There's Larry, the horror cat dad. He's been on the show. Me and Hobbs, we actually started the show, the Midnight Hour, and that's where I did my first interview. I brought him. Our first interview was with Hobbs. So Hobbs was there for the very first interview that I brought online.
Nice.
Live. So and so I've talked to a lot of people, and it's like I have no problem rescheduling. I don't, but I don't like
it happens.
100%.
But you always can tell when they're lying, or they caught the Irish flu, and it's just really, really frustrating because it's like you sit there and go like, I can't make it tonight, and you're like, yeah, that really puts me in a really bad position. But I do try to have that. I do give out one strike. I say, okay, well, here's what I'm going to do. I'll reschedule it, take him for the word, reschedule it best I can. And then, but after that, if it happens again, no, I'm done.
Oh yeah, we're one strike rule too.
Yeah, we're one strike rule.
It's just a matter of like how
it's different. Like, did you call me 5 minutes before you're supposed to be on and tell me? I'll take that. That's fine. But if you haven't shown up and it's 15, 20, 30 minutes into when you're supposed to be on with me,
and I'm talking to your PR person,
and you're not, and then like you're gonna hit me up the next day or something like that, and just be like, oh yeah, sorry man. Like, still there's a one strike rule. Sometimes it's legit. Some people have stuff come up. I understand that. Like, everybody's got weird things that can happen in their lives.
You know what? You can feel when they're telling you the truth, though. When they're telling the truth versus when they're lying. I can always tell that. I can tell the people who are lying to me versus the one who are telling me the truth. And and I don't mind, because we all know this, but sometimes, especially with actors, like Sean calls us, I gotta shoot. Everybody knows that is actually legit. There's, I mean, of all the people I've talked to, actors that have to go on set, that's probably the most legit, and they're so sorry. I mean, they're backwards saying so sorry. A lot of people just burn, and they don't even give a rat's ass.
Yep.
Yeah, we'll get a band that's on the road and they're in a van and they can't do it on a cell phone. You know what I mean? Like, totally get it. Absolutely, yeah. Hit us up when you're not on the road in a van. Like, let's figure out a time where it's fun.
You always want to make them comfortable too. It's like, listen, say, okay, I'll just rush home, and I'm like, I don't want you rushing home.
Yeah,
I don't want
don't
you
get
to
into an accident.
No,
but we had someone in their car outside of a wedding they were at do a show with us.
Yep.
You know what I mean? It was like, you don't have to do this. And they were like, no, it's good. It's good. It was like, all right. Yeah.
Sometimes
tell us about the wedding.
The car interviews or the restaurant interviews, sometimes they're the best.
They are, yeah.
They're sitting there, and you see people walk in the background, and they're sitting there talking to you. You see in the background, they're looking at them like, and you can tell it's not a phone call. You can tell because a lot of times they'll have the phone there. It's not here. It's just standing. And they're talking to you, and it's so weird to see people walk behind them and they're staring like, and then you can always see their face like, who is this person they're talking to? It must be somebody. But one of the cool things you mentioned too, and I'm glad you did, because I think this is one of the fun parts about doing a show like this, is that you mentioned the up and coming talent.
Yeah,
isn't that the best part? In all honesty,
that's my favorite part. Honestly, yeah.
And then like for me too, just getting to be one of their early interviews, or getting to do some cool stuff with them, whether it be at a festival or before a show, or whatever, and watching that artist grow.
Yeah.
And see them start to do real cool things. And that's awesome. That's really, really awesome. It's even more awesome when they're appreciative to those day ones and they still come back and they still talk to you and they still engage and stuff like that.
It's always exciting when you sit there, and to me anyway, I always think it's sort of exciting when I've interviewed a few people, and it's like, I'll talk to them and I'll just sit there and say, thank you for this, because it's not going to happen again. And you know it.
Right.
That they're taking off to a whole different level. And
Right.
I've seen that's already happened to me like 4 or 5 times, where it's like, thank you for this, because I'll never get it again. And I'm so happy for it, because that means they're, and of course, and they always say this too. They always say, "Oh, I'll always have time." No, you won't. That's the thing. Your life is about not to become your own.
Right.
Now it's gonna be so many different things you're gonna need to do and say and be there. And it's like the spirit is willing, but the time is not, and
But
so
they
much
mean
fun.
it, and
Yeah.
that's the cool.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
I actually
And
wanted to acknowledge Jen in the chat, because she did ask us a couple of times about the Vince McMahon documentary,
Yeah,
which
yeah,
I
saw
am
that.
very excited for.
Yeah, I'm excited for. I think it's interesting timing because WWE is about to go to Netflix.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm gonna watch it. I'm definitely interested in how they tackle some of that.
Yes, especially like going to Netflix. That should be an interesting dynamic. And I also wanted to tell her, she asked about what movie it's in.
Vampire Penance.
It's not out. It was actually originally called Evergreen is the Blood.
Yep.
And we wrote that back in 2020. And this was supposed to be just a fun COVID passion project for this friend director.
Independent movie maker named John Rain, Polestar Productions. You can look it up. He's put out so many indie films. He's won some awards for some of them. I've been fortunate enough to be in a couple of them and have my music featured in a few of them, which is a huge honor, which is amazing. And through that, became friends with him, and he invited us to put a song on this vampire movie.
Yeah, because he was supposed to do something pretty big. It was about, what is that, the bank robber one, right?
Yeah, he was going to do one called Banks, about a specific a guy that used to the rob banks in Pennsylvania. There's some famous cases about it.
And that movie got some very good budget and everything, but everything got shut down for COVID. So he decided, okay, well, I'm gonna
do a fun project.
Do a fun project in the meantime. And
now that has been
delayed several times
because it keeps getting more big investors in it. And Lionsgate is interested in it now, and he's had to reshoot it, and then he's gonna have to reshoot it again because more money is going into it, and they want a bigger production, and they're talking about video game tie-ins and a whole a trilogy now, and it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and I hope that this is a huge thing for him.
Yeah.
And yeah, so that's been an ongoing thing for the past few years. He's been on the show. We had him on the show to talk all about it. It's super cool. I love vampire movies.
Yeah.
I love horror movies. I love most vampire movies. I don't really enjoy vampires that are bedazzled by sunlight, but in general, I love vampire movies. And we have our song is called "Death Be a Woman." It is you can check it out on any streaming platform. "Bacon Is My Passion" is the name of the band.
Yeah, and we remixed it and re-recorded it.
We were just told to more money's coming into the movie, so can you make the song better? And we were like, we wrote it and recorded it in a week for you. So yes, we can make it. We can make it better.
Yeah. So that was the other thing. We were on a time crunch, so we were like, okay, he showed up to my house. And I was like, all right, cool. So what's the deal? And he told me a description of the scene. I was like, very cool. And what's our timeline? He's like, they need it in 10 days.
They need it in 10 days.
Written, recorded, mixed, mastered, 10 days.
Yeah.
And and we did it.
And that's what
gotta be
started our
absolutely-
that's what
that's
started
gotta
our
be-
podcast.
Is that the reason? Is that how your podcast got jumped? I mean, jump
That's
started.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
it really was, because we had to be in the same room. That's where we formed our COVID pod, and it was like, okay, we're gonna keep hanging out, and we just started writing a bunch of songs together and put a camera on us, and like he was saying before, it was like fly on the wall type stuff. But that was the thing that got us in a room, because John contacted me about the song. He contacted me first to say, can I use some of your music? And I was like, well, I could write something for it. And he was like, would you do that? And I was like, yeah. And he was like, awesome, I need it in 10 days. And I go, yeah, no problem. Absolutely. And then I called Mike and I was like, hey man, you want to write a song and record it and do it in 10 days? And he was like, yeah, man, let's do it. And we were like, okay, we're going to be a pod.
Okay. That would, that's going to be like, that's going to probably be the same as when actors do the 48 hour film challenge.
Yeah.
They have to,
Oh, yeah.
they have to do they get a script or a scenario. They have to do a script. They have to cast it, score it, shoot it, edit it, and have it ready to rock and roll in 48 hours. That's
My buddy did that twice. My buddy did that twice. Yeah. Not John, another friend of mine. Yeah.
That's got to be that's got to be the craziest thing I've ever heard of. As far as the movies go, who has been your favorite person you've talked to that has worked in the movies? Has it been your director friend? And what'd you say his name was again? I'm sorry,
John. That's all right. John Rain.
John Ring or Rink?
Rain. Reign.
Oh, okay. John Ring. I have to look him up.
Yeah, definitely. He's got a bunch of really good films.
Yeah.
Who's been the most interesting as far as film personality you worked that you've talked to, either as a director or as an actor?
We haven't had that many as far as
We haven't
movies
had that
go.
many, but I do have to go back to. I mean, John was a lot of fun. John
Yeah.
and Michael.
Sean Kanan was a great time though.
But Sean Kanan was a great time
Yeah.
because he showed up. He was 3 sheets to the wind.
Yeah, and he just played along. He was like, let's go.
Yeah, he
Which
was
awesome.
He leaned into it. He was so down to be fun.
Yeah.
And that was a great experience. That was a lot of fun.
And he almost gave us some Cobra Kai scoops, but he totally trolled us by saying it, like being like, and I'm going to tell you what it is at the end of the episode. And then he left and didn't tell us. We were like, you son of a bitch.
Well, no. I deliberately set that up.
He still said he was going to do it.
Well, I did say, I was like, I'm sure you're going to ask about, you're going to want people to ask about Cobra Kai. We're not going to ask about that. And then he did say, he was like, yeah, but I've got some tidbits.
Did you just drop Nothing But General Hospital on him?
No. Actually,
Oh, man, you would have blew his mind if you would have did that.
yeah. We were talking a little bit about, he had this series out. What was it? Studio City?
Yeah,
I think
Studio
it was.
City.
And it was a series of, I think it was between like 7 and 15-minute episodes, and there was like 8 or 12, and man, it was good.
Yeah.
It was really good. It was really a solid show. Won a lot of awards. Won an Emmy.
We were swerved.
We were swerved,
Absolutely
brother.
swerved, brother.
That doesn't work for me, brother.
I have to say this: I've never had a guest come on that's been 3 sheets to the wind.
We've had a lot of guests leave that way.
Oh yeah.
You guys, because you guys are doing, you encourage them to drink as they talk to you.
We don't encourage. We do say,
no,
"Hey, listen."
Is it sort of like a subliminal thing? Like whenever I hear the word music,
Right. Yeah. Well, I mean, our show by ourselves is called Discussions and Drinks, so it's part of the charm. But as soon as they come on, we're like, hey, we're having whiskey. If you want to join us for a drink, go for it. If you don't drink, whatever you do, feel free to do it.
Sure.
If you don't do anything, feel free to not do anything, but we're gonna have a drink, right? And then we just go from there. And there are certain ones that are like, all right, let's go, let's do this, and we'll have drinks with them, and that's why there's a Best Drinking Buddy award at the end of every year.
Yeah.
Now, where do you guys have your podcast at? I know you have it on. I know you have it on YouTube. And do you have anything? Do you have anywhere else where you have it out as well, or is YouTube the main place?
We're audio everywhere. So anywhere that you stream, we're at Spotify, Apple. We're on
Deezer,
Deezer.
iHeartRadio.
Yeah,
We're working on
pretty much wherever people listen to.
I forgot what the other one is. I don't know. TuneIn Radio. That's
TuneIn
a real
Radio.
pain in the gazorch to get on. I don't know why, but man, I might just skip it.
Let's see.
Where's
see,
the Gazorch?
Larry mentioned about vampires. Is that Lost Boys are bedazzled?
Yeah,
Dude, Lost Boys, one of my favorite vampire movies of all time.
yeah. Lost Boys is good.
Yeah, but have you seen Werewolves Within?
I haven't seen Werewolf Within.
You'll change your mind.
All right. I will say, shout out to more recent movies. Renfield.
I was just gonna say
I thought
Renfield was
fantastic.
amazing. Amazing.
I mean, it was a funny vampire movie, but I love it.
Yeah.
I love it. But I like Nosferatu. It's fantastic.
Yes.
You know,
I watched and reviewed The Vampire Lovers last week.
I haven't checked out the show, the Netflix show based on it. From what I understand, it's like years after Interview with the Vampire, but the original, Brad Pitt, Tom Cruise, Christian Slater.
Yeah, they did that on AMC.
Love that.
Yeah, they have that on. They have the Interview with the Vampire on. No, last week the Vampire Lovers. It was my first Hammer horror movie. I really never watched a Hammer horror movie at all.
Okay.
And then my buddy Al, who happens to be half bat. In fact, that's his nickname is the Bat.
Nice.
And I swear to God, I really do sometimes when I see him, I just think it was as the Bat. He's the one that turned me on to. Says you got to check out the Vampire Lovers from 1970. Okay, so I never watched a Hammer movie. I put it on there, and all of a sudden I'm going like, wow, I can see why a lot of people watched a lot of Hammer movies now. I can see that, and I'm going like, Dracula used to be my favorite vampire, and Blade used to be my favorite vampire, but
Blade. I mean, yeah.
Oh yeah.
I think I got to go with Camilla now as my favorite vampire.
All right.
But Werewolves Within was based on a video game, and it was starred the young lady Milana. That's a Russian name, but she played in the AT&T commercials. Lily.
Okay.
Really pretty girl, and it was the first time I had ever seen her act. I only seen her do the commercials. First time I ever seen her act. She's an actress. The first time I ever saw her. Oh my gosh, that movie was so much fun. And
Nice.
It's a lot of fun.
I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely recommend that one. Let's see. Does anybody have any questions for our guests while we still have them? If you guys have any podcast questions, feel free to drop them in as you are now here.
Also, I did want to mention about where to find us, because the YouTube is not under Bacon Is My Podcast. Obviously, you can Google search it, but it's at Strangerhood TV, strangerhoodtv.com. That's where you'll find all sorts of cool stuff.
Why did you? I saw that when I saw that page. I'm going like, is Strangerwood a different? Are you doing something different underneath Strangerwood, or is that the corporate name and everything else is underneath it?
So how that ended up being a thing was, I have a band called Craving Strange, and so we had a YouTube channel called Strangerhood TV that we put everything from shorts to videos to whatever we kind of were doing up on. And when we started the podcast, it was like, okay, well, this YouTube page already has some followers, it already has some stuff. Should we just put it on there? And then we came up with the idea of like, let's make it an actual network. So we reached out to other friends in our music community, and one of our buddies, our good friend DJ, has he does a radio show every week called the Hard Rock Lunchbox, hardrocklunchbox.com, Thursdays. And we got him to do something called the Top 20, which is the first 20 minutes of it. And he's putting that up on the channel. It was like during COVID, and it was like, let's just populate this channel with a bunch of different ideas. My drummer started doing play-alongs. Him and I were doing like we said before, we were doing like, will it sound good acoustic? Will it sound good heavy? And it just became like, okay, let's treat this like a television network and just populate it with different shows because it's already got a little bit of an audience and some interaction. So let's do that rather than just start from scratch, because again, we didn't really know what this was going to do or what it was going to be. And it just seemed like the easier way to go. So that's just what it is. It became like this. And then I was thinking like, okay, I love Hot Ones. Hot Ones is on First We Feast. That's the network. So it was like kind of base it around that. So I don't know if it's a smart idea or a dumb one, but that's why. That's
Now,
what
when
that is.
when you say that they contribute, what do? Do you make playlists for them, and all their videos are on playlists?
Yep. Yeah. So there's a playlist of the top 20. There's a playlist of Bacon is My Podcast. There's a playlist of Jamming with a Stranger. All of the things have little spots so that if people go on and they want to listen to music, there's music videos. If they want to see a show, there's a show. All stuff like that.
Yeah, that's a really good idea, and I thought about doing that, because like, I see a lot of different podcasts, and I said I wouldn't mind this, like I have like there's some that I have blocked off, like I have blocked off our friend Steven. He has his show, House of Horrors. I have some of his stuff on a playlist. I have some of the Midnight Hour on the playlist, the one I did with Hobbs. And then of course I got the other one that just I have the IFC show that we do. We do that the last Sunday of every month. We have the IFC Midnights, and then we have the Midnight Society, and then I put that a block aside. And then as far as our content here go, I do blocks of 25. I do 25 episodes. I might make that onto a block. Because I mean, if when you get 500 interviews and you sit there and you give the master list out, they're not going to watch anything. It's just too much.
I think we're 300 something episodes at this point.
Well, if you do the 7 questions and
so
these
it's kind
and
of
the
that
discussions,
like,
it's probably in the 400s.
Way too much to do that with. So yeah, I feel you.
I just block. I have one. I do have the one master list, but I also break it up, and I I saw that when I was looking over when I was listening to your pod, and highly entertaining, very entertaining to listen to while working to. I will say that as well.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah, that's because that's part of listening to a podcast. It's like, to me, whenever I'm working, I like to have background music or musical, or not music so much, but it's just people talking. So I'll try to find something. Most of the time, I'm listening to movie reviews. And they're a lot of fun. But I like listening to podcasts as well. I listen to Michael Rosen. I used to listen to him a lot, but his pod got really commercialized real quick. It's just every time I go, you mentioned how I was already going when you got here. I always go up 15 minutes early to get to introduce everybody in and get the crowd here. And, I always do that. Sort of like a traditional format.
That's smart.
Yeah, it's just you try to, because I know how it is when you come in on a show that's cold. You're like, okay, we're on the air, and there's like nobody there. It's like, let me at least try to give you a list, because what about how's your viewership? I mean, it seems to be like your show's in a really good place for it to grow. Have you seen that happen as far as both YouTube and audio? Where do you see the most growth at? Audio listen tos or visual?
Audio. So far, audio has been our biggest growth area, and we kind of just threw stuff up on YouTube for years, just to like, okay, it's up, and we
shoot the thing. We have the network. Let's just put it up.
Let's just have content. And we just started really kind of more focusing on YouTube over the last
2 or 3 weeks.
2 or 3 weeks, and started doing more like clips and shorts and stuff like that to try and kind of work some things over there and grow that a little bit as well. So mostly it's been audio so far. And I think we got a question up here too, which is awesome.
Okay,
Genomicon. I'm an artist and have tapped into different fandoms and styles and interests. Never crossed the fandom styles together. My Little Pony and the Saw franchise. I love that. That's fantastic. I don't share much of my artwork anymore publicly. Oh, why not? Mainly because I aim to be an actor and I just don't want to crisscross things or interests. I'm not sure what the how do you judge all the content you make while marketing yourself to niche? We go insane, Jen. That's what we do. We
were talking about that before the show about how do you juggle all the content you make. It's not so much how you juggle the content that you make. That's an easy question. That's easy. The hard question is how do you promote that?
How do you market it?
I think like so for one, Jen, I want to see some of your artwork because if you're going to cross My Little Pony and the Saw franchise, please do.
Yeah,
please do. But juggling all the the way I kind of approach it, and we have this similar but maybe somewhat different approaches. But I'll let you speak for yourself there. Me, it's all about the enjoyment of making the thing. Right. That's where I am as a songwriter. That's where I am as a musician with my band. That's where I am with the podcast too. It's like my first goal always is to have a good time, to enjoy it, and to make something that I like. My first audience is me. If I think it's funny, cool. If I think it's cool, awesome. If I would enjoy it, great. Because I think at that point, any audience that it finds is going to be the right one because it's going to be one that will like me. Everybody's not going to like me. It'd be great if that were the case, but it's just not. So I would rather find my people and find my lane by just doing what I love to do and having a good time doing it, and have less people that are just more involved than to try and mass market everything. It's probably not the smartest way of doing it if you're looking for success in any kind of way. But even with that, I'd rather get successful in 5 years or 6 years or 7 years and have that success last my lifetime than have something go uber viral once and then always be chasing that or being told I need to do that.
Yeah.
So
there's nothing worse than being an overnight success.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw that with many bands that were coming in. They had caught lightning in a bottle and they're touring on a single. And the thing is, what's really sad is that they knew it. They knew that they caught it. They caught lightning in a bottle. They're playing the one song over and over and over. They would see people as soon as they played that hit song, people start filing out.
Yeah.
They didn't really care about the rest of the music. They just want to hear that one song.
Yep.
And I remember we had Jacob Dylan from
Wallflowers.
Wallflowers, yeah.
And we had a packed house, and they were only like 3 or 4 dates away from ending their tour. And guess what they did? They played One Headlight, the very first song. Played it right there.
Oh my.
That's ballsy.
Played it right there, and it was sloppy as hell. But they were sick and tired of the song.
Right.
We're sitting over here watching it, and watching all the people in the club. They're all like their mouths are open, and the rest of us, all this club people, we're sitting over there with our with like this because we're dying.
That's kind of awesome.
It is. It was really awesome, quite honestly.
Right? He's like, we're gonna weed out a few of you guys right away.
Right. You're gonna like what we have to say. We're gonna blow off the song here, and then you could go ahead and pay your $25, and drinking that first beer, you could or you could actually sit back, relax, and I played the first song, and of course there's always people running late because they're like, oh, well, we'll get there in plenty of time because they'll play that song last.
Right.
And then also when they went ahead and finished, they're going like, well, how come they didn't play their song? Where's the song? Where's the one
Right.
headline song?
They open with it.
They already played it. They did? Yeah, they played the very first song of the set.
Well, we played a show. We played a
Yeah.
show. We both, actually, funny enough, for whatever reason, this band decided to not only have opening acts, but Jimmy's band played after them.
Yeah.
Another
one that made me so mad.
The band Sponge we played with, and
The Rotting Pinata.
they opened with Molly,
Mm-hmm.
and somebody came late, and they were wasted, and they were like, play Molly, and they were like, we already did, and they were like, well, play it again. Literally one person, and they played it again. They actually played the song again.
Wow.
And then they finished, and they told everybody in the audience to go with them to another bar before my band went on.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Ooh, whoa.
pieces
Wow.
of trash.
Wow.
You hot garbage.
Wow. That would not have that would not have flown with us.
Oh, that did not go over well with me.
That was Sponge that did that?
Yes.
Yeah, I would have been on the horn to their agent the next morning and laying it out, saying, you know what, that's Bush League. That's absolutely Bush League.
Yeah. I will say though, the people that played the show with us, I didn't even have to defend myself because my buddies defended us and got up in the faces of people for us.
Wow.
Which was great. I appreciated that.
Balls right there. That's some ball. That would not have worked well for us. That would have been like, yeah, I'm gonna hold on to that last half of your pay that you're supposed to be getting until I talk to your agent. You know, you just killed my bar. So I'm gonna be talking to your agent about,
unbelievable.
At the end of the show, you got to come and pay me. I'm gonna hold on to that until we talk to your agent because you just cost me a lot. You just cost me hundreds of dollars of business. So someone's got to pay for that. It might be you. Wow. And yeah, that's the sort of thing that gets you going.
A bunch of people stayed and watched us though. So
yeah,
bunch of people stayed for us. So
that's good.
Eat it, Sponge.
Yeah, eat a sponge. All right, ladies and gentlemen. Well, I'll tell you what, before we go, I'm going to ask you guys one last question. So what's coming up next on Baking Is My Podcast?
Well, tomorrow we have a friend of ours. She's a PR agent, but also is a pole dancer over at a pretty awesome venue out in Brooklyn called Lucky 13 Saloon.
Yeah. So we talk all about the
occupational hazards of a pole dancer.
Oh, yeah.
And
we talked to a pole dancer. She's actually a very talented artist.
Yeah.
And then she accidentally stumbled across the pole dancing and is doing and still an artist and still pole dancing and made art out of it. It's amazing.
She was in the music scene. She was in music PR and a writer and all that stuff. And she just did it as a workout kind of thing. And she's like, I love doing this. So she does that. That's one of her
really good conversation with her too. She was she was
also on Ink Masters.
Yep. She was on it. She got tattooed by Sausage on Ink Masters season 7.
Yep.
So
so
if you're an Ink Master fan, you might recognize her.
Yeah. And and then after that, we don't have any guest shows lined in the can just yet. October, we've got a whole bunch that we're recording, but every Monday you will get the discussion and drinks episodes. So we've talked about
us being idiots,
fall flavors. We've talked about communication skills and how social media sucks with it and
has destroyed the conversation.
Yeah.
Really is. It's social media. It's definitely the bane of our society. As far as this show is concerned, tomorrow night we'll be back with the multi-hyphenated Laura Shadire will be here with us. She's a visual artist. She's a poet. She is a dog rescuer. She is a model. She is very talented in a lot of different fields. She will be here with us at 8 o'clock tomorrow night. Thursday, we'll see we'll see Annie Stott will be here with us, and she just released a new record last week, and we will be talking about that, and we'll be hearing some singles from their new brand new record. And then Saturday at 4 o'clock, we have a matinee show. We'll be talking with actresses Carrie Goodwin and Maria Paris from the new Western film Taken from Rio Bravo, and that will be at 4 o'clock. And there might be some special guests on that show. We're hoping. It's gonna be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to that. As far as the chat for today, thank you guys so much for sticking around. It's been awesome. I appreciate you guys being so engaged. Hopefully, you guys will come back for tomorrow and come meet Shadira. She's going to be interesting as well. And of course, Ann on Thursday. And she will be dropping 2 original songs from her record. She's got a really pretty voice, too. She's a folk rocker, which is one of my very favorites. And so I'm looking forward to that. All right. To the chat, thank you so much for everything. You guys stay right where you're at for a second. And to
thank you so much to the chat. I definitely want to thank you guys too. Thank you for engaging with us. Thank you for listening. Patrick, thank you for having us on and giving us some time. We appreciate you.
Yeah, we'll do it again. We're going to be doing this again. I can't wait. I can't wait to team up and do something crazy with you guys.
Yeah, it'll be fun, man. It'll be fun. And everyone in the chat, come say hi. Hit us up on social media. Hit us up on our YouTube. Hit us up wherever. You know what I mean? Thank you guys so much. What's your bacon?
Yeah,
that's right. Bacon. Stay right where you guys. Stay right where you're at. And to everybody else, good night. We'll see you tomorrow night. Peace.
Peace out.
Bacon out.